Welcome to the program. This time we will be covering Zechariah chapter 7, a call for justice and mercy. Afterwards, reading it, of course, we will be going over the notations that are prevalent within this chapter. We read Chapter 7, a call for justice and mercy. In the 4th year of King Darius, the word of the Lord came to Zechariah on the 4th day of the 9th month, which is Chislev. Now, the people of Bethel had sent Sherazir and Regemelech and their men to entreat the favor of the Lord, saying to the priests of the house of the Lord of hosts and the prophets, "Should I weep and abstain in the 5th month, as I have done for so many years?" Then the word of the Lord of hosts came to me. Say to all the people of the land and the priests, when you have fasted and mourned in the 5th month and in the 7th, for these 70 years, was it for me that you fasted? And when you eat and when you drink, do you not eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves? Were not these the words that the Lord proclaimed by the former prophets, when Jerusalem was inhabited and prosperous, with her cities around her, and the south and the lowland were inhabited? And the word of the Lord came to Zechariah, saying, Thus says the Lord of hosts, render true judgments, show kindness and mercy to one another. Do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor, and let none of you devise evil against another in your heart. But they refused to pay attention, and turned a stubborn shoulder, and stopped their ears, that they might not hear. They made their hearts diamond hard, lest they should hear the law and the words that the Lord of hosts has sent by his Spirit through the former prophets. Therefore, great anger came from the Lord of hosts. As I called, and they would not hear, so they called, and I would not hear, says the Lord of hosts. And I scattered them with a whirlwind among the nations, that they had not known. Thus the land they left was desolate, so that no one went to and fro, and the pleasant land was made desolate. We now go over the notations of this chapter. There are many. We start within verse 2, in which we find the portion that says, sent Sherazir and Regemelech and their men to entreat the favor of the Lord. Their men in the Hebrew is directly translated to his men, referring to Regemelech's men. So the question would be, does Regemelech do it on behalf of Sherazir, thus making this translation there rather than his, specifically for Regemelech? This is up to interpretation, but the Hebrew would translate to his rather than their, and the there would be based on an interpretation of the situation. Then we have within verse 3 the Lord of hosts, which translates in Hebrew to Yahweh of Sabaoth. Then, of course, it also must be noted that when we are talking about the context of this chapter, the 4th day of the 9th month is referring to the calendar date, which pertains directly to the time of the year in which we will be talking about the significance of which is very prevalent in this chapter. So we enter verse 5, with the 5th month and in the 7th. And what this is referring to is the 70 years, the commemoration of the 70 years of Nebuchadnezzar's destruction of Jerusalem. This occurred on December 7th of 518 BC. And so then the commemoration is approximately 70 years later, but it is really about 69, almost edging on 70. And so then you get in verse 6, yourselves and drink for yourselves. Do you not eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves? So this is a reference to, again, Jeremiah's Good Friday, oh my people. This is almost a questioning of crying out. I say again because we get this sort of imagery back to Christ and his discipleship several times within Zechariah. And so then we also get memories of Paul talking to the Corinthians about the Lord's Supper. This can be seen to be a direct parallel. And then within verse 9, we get the Lord of hosts again Yahweh of Sabaoth in the Hebrew. Within verse 12, we get the description, they made their hearts diamond hard, a reference to Exodus and the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. And then lastly, we get the last verse in which the pleasant land is made desolate, as it says. The pleasant land here is referring to the promised land, or Israel. We thank you for joining us on this program, and we hope that you like the video. If you do, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe as well if you like the sort of content we're making and wish to see it over and over again with new content coming out every few days. So usually we take a 2-day interim and then we make a new video. So if you like this video, tell your friends about it, recommend it to others, and of course thank you for joining us again. May God be with you all.